It's the Lawrence County SportsNet podcast here on lcsportsnet.com. Lawrence County SportsNet powered by LCAP. And as always, our preview shows here brought to you by Penn Ohio Bottled Water. Let Penn Ohio Bottled Water do the heavy lifting. Bring refreshing water straight to your door. We've got a couple of weeks now into the season, coming up on the holiday break, but section games, region games have begun. So let's take a look back at what we've had so far over the first couple of weeks of the season. We'll quickly break down through all 16 teams. We'll start ladies first, and we'll start up in District 10 because what a fantastic beginning to the season it has been for Wilmington. Coach Jekovic has just been absolutely incredible what he's done with that team. Keep this in mind. You have a junior who's about to hit 1,000 points. She misses the first 3 games of the season. Guess what? They don't miss a beat. A close loss in the first game, but 3 straight wins after that. They do get Leah Carrera back for this final game. But the stat of the year, and I love it, you've had 4 different players as the leading scorer in those 4 games. And not one of them is named Leah Carrera. You had Reese Bruckner with 14, Alyssa Flick with 18, Harlan with 13, Maya Jekovic, a career high against Sharpsville with 18 points in the first region victory of the year. Wilmington is coming out in full force, and I think that's what's most evident right there is that variety of scoring. You didn't have a whole heck of a lot of that over the last 2 years for the Hounds. This is going to be a fun team to continue to watch over the course of the season. And interesting matchup they're going to have coming up. I believe it's on this Friday. It's a 5 o'clock tip-off as they will travel down to Elwood City to take on another one of the county teams. Our friends over at ECS will have the stream of that one. But Wilmington right now, one of the top 5 offenses in District 10 and one of the top 4 defenses in District 10 girls basketball. So a fun start to the year for the Greyhounds for sure. Let's go back into the WPIL now and take a look at Union. Hey, by the way, congratulations, Lady Scots. They are playoff bound. Yeah, that's right. They're in that 4-team Section 1, and 4 teams make it out of every section. So they're guaranteed a playoff bid no matter what. They have a 3-3 record, but look at those opponents. Greensburg Central Catholic, Upper St. Clair, Avonworth, all up in classification. Those are the 3 losses. But then you have a convincing win against Shenango, a nip and tuck game against Newcastle, or at Newcastle against Neshannock, and then the win against Olsh to give the 3 victories on the year for the Union Scotties. And Kelly Cleaver, over 1,000 points. She was able to do it at Shenango. How fitting is that? Hitting her only 3-pointer of the year so far to do so. The former Wildcat doing it there at McNeese Gymnasium. Kylie Frustorfer, she had a couple of rough games early on, but she's getting into the scoring rhythm as well. Keep an eye, Kylie and Kelly, the 2 top scorers for that team. But again, it's going to be that balance of offense you're going to see. Watch Bella Cameron and Miera Gunn continue to get it done from beyond the arc. They're going to take on Mohawk in a non-section game on Wednesday. And that's going to be a fun one, too, because Mohawk has a 5-1 record on the year. Their only loss coming in double overtime against Aquinas Academy, who, by the way, Union defeated in the WPL Championship a year ago. This Mohawk girls team under Coach Walsh in his first year, 5 senior starters, and talk about balance of scoring. Yes, Erin Capalbo does what Erin Capalbo does, just shy of 16 points per game. But Erica Young's at 10 points per game, Kara Julian at 9 points per game, Deani Rivas and Chloe Fadden around 7 per game. Rivas coming off a career high, 14 points scored against South Range. They're showing a variety of offense, and they're going to keep pushing the tempo and play that intense defense that Coach Walsh has brought with him from the Blackhawk program. So we're going to have a fun one. We'll have the call on that one. Lee and Jay Moan, the brother tandem, will be at Union for that call on Monday night. In Class 2A, real quick, Shenango, a rough start for Shenango as expected, though, when they were losing 7 of their top 8 scorers from a year ago. Their lone win coming against Newcastle, 39-37. They're going to have a couple of tough ones coming up. They play Mohawk later this week as well, and before that, a second section game against Freedom. They already had a section tilt under their belt at Rochester last week. And for Shenango, I mean, look at some of this, like Addie Case, for example, her first season back in 3 or 4 years, and just kind of relearning and getting used to the speed of everything. You could tell that in the game against Union, just not quite up to game speed yet, but they're going to continue to improve. We have seen it already, and they did a lot of good things that will really show later on in the season, I think. And as long as they can keep finding ways to get Ella Farrell some good looks from beyond the arc, they're going to be a team that is still going to fight no matter what throughout the course of this season. No question about it. Also in 3A, Elwood City, a 4-1 start, 4 straight wins after their opening day loss. This Wolverines team, keep your eye on them. They play New Brighton on Monday, and more non-section games. Mentioned that Wilmington game on Friday. They don't start section play until a trip or a game hosting Neshannock, right after the new year. But this Elwood City team, I look at the fact of what they're doing in terms of, again, secondary scoring. First off, Kayla Jones, Claire Noble, you know what they're going to do, averaging 19 points per game for each of them. Those are 2 of the top 3 right now in the entire county in Kayla Jones and Claire Noble. But I'm looking at the fact of what some of the others are doing. Delaney Sturgeon, a couple of double-doubles under her tenure already this year. Those 3 really have been the main scoring threats. Maddie Long, Abby Kemenity, and Caitlin Kreitzer all getting the job done. The other Sturgeon, Elsie as well. That balance is what's going to be so crucial, I think, for this team. No question about it throughout the rest of this season. But again, the balance and the high assist and rebound totals I'm seeing for some of these players too, getting it done, crashing the boards for this Elwood City team. Mentioned they'll play Neshannock to start off their section season after the holiday. Neshannock coming in right now with a 3-3 record with a couple of non-section games here this week on the road at Alderdice and at Greenville. And Neshannock, hey, it's a Coach G team. You know that they're going to fight hard. They have a couple of tough losses against really tough opponents. Lincoln Park, for example, in there, the 1-point loss to Union, playing way up, playing against Seneca Valley last week as well. Nobody averaging double figures. Right now, it's Ryan Owens who's leading the way. She and Peyton Newman both around 9 points per contest. But that's the way that Coach G's going to like it. Balance, get the defense going, and that's going to be their key throughout the rest of this season for sure. Jaden Nogue and Sophia Bonner, a couple of the big scorers that we're going to keep our eyes on for this young Neshannock Lady Lancer squad. The other game in class, or the other team, in Class 3A is the Laurel Spartans, a 2-4 start to their year. Close wins, a close win against Newcastle, and also a convincing win early against Slippery Rock, 54-27 in that one. 2-4 record overall. This Laurel team, again, a lot of newcomers on this squad here so far this season. Really, Kendra Raperto, the only one with consistent minutes throughout all of last year. Maylee Hill is definitely somebody who we've seen step up. Sean Tyndall has been really the fun one to be keeping your eye on. Sean Tyndall leading the way with 8 points per game so far on the young season. Again, a team that's going to have to use the defense and balance of scoring to be a main threat. And they're going to start off the section season tough. Mohawk and then at Neshannock right after the new year on Tuesday and Thursday. And finally, we talked about Newcastle being a bunch of close games already this year in non-section play. They do have one in-section loss on their record. Hampton, tough loss there. But so many of these close games. Riverside by 3, Shenango by 2, Laurel by 2, Hopewell by 4. Just hope Coach Donato Joseph and company can get just 1 or 2 of those wins, and it could be a completely different type of season, a complete turnaround, really, just by getting a couple of little changes. And one thing you don't want to see change is Rihanna Boyce. What a great start she's having. A county best 19 points per contest on the season. But again, looking for that number 2 or number 3 scorer, Reagan Hudson, has been the most consistent so far. If they can get that balance up there and take the load off of Rihanna Boyce, I think that's going to be a big part of it. But what I'm looking at, Boyce has 64 free throws on the year. She's made 51 of them. That's an 80% rate, and that's going to lead to a few wins down the year. Yes, I know they're 0-7 right now, but a lot of things to be happy about if you are the Newcastle Lady Canes. Though, of course, they want to get that goose egg out of the win column. We'll see if they can do that here in the upcoming games. Before the break, they will host, actually, this week, Fox Chapel and Ambridge in Fox Chapel in section and Ambridge in non-section play. Well, there's the girls' side of things throughout the first couple weeks of the season. Let's step aside. When we return, we'll talk about the boys' start of the 2023-24 hoop season here on the LC SportsNet podcast. It's delivered by Penn Ohio Bottled Water.
Don't get left out to dry. Call the Penn, Ohio Bottled Water Company for the fastest and most efficient bottled water delivery service in the area. Penn, Ohio offers bottled water ranging from 16.9-ounce bottles to 5-gallon jugs, perfect for your next event or office water cooler system. Also, don't forget to ask about their custom labeling options. Visit PennOhioBottledWater.com for more information and to get a quote on their delivery services. Whether it's at home, in the office, or on the sidelines, Penn, Ohio has you covered.
And we thank Penn Ohio Bottled Water for all they do for us. And we continue on our week in review, or our preview, I guess I should say, before we get into the holiday break. Let's jump up in the boys' side of things with Newcastle, Class 6A, a 5-1 record, a great start, albeit, yes, other than Kiski, all the opponents that they've had so far have been Class 4A or lower. Blackhawk on the road, though, is a great win. Hickory, always a tough competition. That's when they had to actually weather the storm. They were leading by 20 at halftime, was Newcastle. Hickory able to cut that back down to a 6-point advantage in the end. But in the end, this is more about, getting the fresh faces some time. I mean, you got a true freshman, first time ever that Coach Blundo, or really anybody in the Newcastle program, a true freshman at the point guard position. Noriega Jackson's done a great job with it so far. And when you have a couple of shooters like Ralphie Blundo and Damian Harrison, who are leading the county right now in made three-pointers, 18 for Blundo, 16 for Harrison, that's a pretty great start to the year. Blundo put up a career-high 32 in that win against Hickory. And a third player, JT Warren, he's been a very nice find down low, averaging 10.5 points per game on the young season here for the Newcastle Runnin' Red Hurricane. They got their holiday tournament kind of mixed up. If you haven't heard, Newcastle will not be playing in the Farrell tournament. However, their opponents from that Farrell Tip-Off Classic will be coming to Newcastle now to play in those games. So the games against Clarion Limestone and Meadville, that'll be on the 28th and 29th, both now at the Nika High Fieldhouse. So mark that one down. Not making the trip up to Farrell for that tournament now. The section season, though, begins with a trip to North Allegheny right after the new year. That game scheduled for January 3rd, actually. So keep that one in mind. Not the 2nd, but on the 3rd after the new year. Let's jump down to Class 3A and what a start it's been for Neshannock. A lot of graduates from last year's team, but Coach Corey's squad, right off the bat, getting things rolling. A 5-1 record so far. Their only blemish coming in the opener against Mercyhurst Prep, where, they had way too many turnovers. I think 26 was the official number in that game. They've really improved for sure in the time since then. Have the Lancers. And again, I love the balance of offense. You knew Davey Quat, the sophomore, was going to be the leading scorer. Now has a 28-pointer under his game. But, throwing Anthony Bonner had a nice one. He's averaging 11 points per game, a 24-point contest a couple of games ago. Jake Rinn has been a great find. His first varsity minutes really this year, and he put up 17 points in the win against Brookville. So keep an eye on those three especially. And now, too, you've had a couple games where LJ Keefe hasn't been in the lineup with injury. You had Talon Anderton miss the first couple of games of the season with injury as well. If they got everybody healthy, this is a team that is firing on all cylinders. And yes, they have a main scorer, but they have a great variety of scoring, something you really haven't seen from a Neshannock Lancer team in the last 4 or 5 years. So Neshannock's going to be a fun one to watch, and they're going to get their test right away. They're 1-0 in section play, but the big one coming on Tuesday against Elwood City, a 3-4 overall record. Losses to Hickory in a close one, Slippery Rock in a close one, Ambridge in a high-scoring affair, and then Shenango over this past weekend in that clash at Newcastle. But I'm looking at the fact that you have an Elwood City team kind of similar to what we're talking about with Neshannock. They have balance this year. It was all Joseph Roth last year, and understandably so. He's the number 2 scorer in program history. He's averaging right now 26 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists per game. but he's not the only threat out there, and that's what's great. Colton Kreiser, Aaron Lake, both averaging 9 a game. Nate Williams averaging 7 a game. Chris Smiley, 6 points per game. Last year, those numbers were down at like the 3, 4, and 5 points per game all around. And the fact that you see Ross' numbers on the assists so high is a testament to it. If you double down on the big man, well, guess what? He's going to go and find that open guy, and they're hitting their shots this year. That's the big difference from a season ago. Oh, by the way, Joe Roth probably going to go and swim about 3,000 yards worth in the pool before going out to Neshannock for that game on Tuesday night. Kind of keeping up with that tradition of the Splash Brothers. Though he is the last of the Splash Bros coming through, he is definitely leaving his mark on this Elwood City program and really on all of Lawrence County, as he is approaching now 1,600 career points. Could quite possibly end up being in the very elite club of getting over that 2,000 point mark, which only 6 players all time have ever done. If he keeps up his pace, he would be able to be marked as the 7th to hit 2,000 career points. A long way away from that here for sure, but something that we're going to be keeping our eye on. He's now one of the top 20 scorers in Lawrence County history. But we'll have the call for that one. Tim Continenza and I will be at Neshannock for that big game on Tuesday between the Lancers and the Wolverines. The other great team that we're going to have to be watching in that section is Mohawk. The Warriors are 2-3 to start the year, but it is 2 straight wins. It took a little bit of time to get their feet underneath them after the long football season. A couple losses to Blackhawk and Franklin, a double overtime loss to Deer Lakes, but then the wins against Rochester and South Range, Ohio, getting the team on track. And again, what I'm looking at here is you got Bobby Fadden at 23 points per game. I'm looking at his free throws, kind of similar to what Miss Boyce is doing there at Newcastle. He is averaging, at the moment, through 5 games, averaging 9 free throw attempts per game. And it's shooting at 77%. That is a huge, huge mark. Basically be getting 7 free points, quote-unquote, from the free throw line in each and every game. And when you have a 1,000-point scorer in Jay Rona, who's your number 2 option scoring the basketball, that is a dangerous, dangerous thought right there. Those two have been fun to watch on the football field the last 2 years and on the basketball court here as well for Coach O'Lear and company. And don't forget about the Hoppers there, Keegan and Mason, a nice scoring tandem in that Mohawk offense as well. They did not have a section game last Friday. They will get their first one here this week, this Friday, against Freedom on the 22nd. And then they won't have the rest of their section tilts coming on until after the new year. Let's drop down to Class 2A. Shenango, a interesting start to Shenango's year, 3-2 their record to start this season. The losses in the opening tip-off tournament to Howland and Neshannock, but then again, 3 straight wins, and against 3 local teams too, Union, Elwood City, and Riverside, with those victories for Shenango. And again, you know what you're going to get. Brody McQuiston averaging 22 points a game so far on the young season. I'm liking what I'm seeing though from Joe Campoli. Missed one of the games, but he's come out on fire. A 22-point performance last week as well, averaging 11 per game. And Jimmy Rowe, lethal from downtown, one of the top 3-point shooters right now in Lawrence County. Those 3, again, giving some other scoring options for McQuiston, who is now approaching 1,300 career points. He's another one we're going to keep our eyes on in the all-time rankings, as he's now 35th all-time. And next one on the list in the Shenango scoring, by the way, older brother Colin. He's coming pretty close. He's already passed his father and head coach. That was one of the first on the list last year, and now coming up to be the top 3 in Shenango program history, about 150 points away from making that jump. The other team in Class 2A we're going to keep our eye on is Laurel, and that's who Shenango's first section game will be against when we turn the calendar. That's on Wednesday the 3rd after the new year. Laurel, a 1-2 record, so they've not gotten many games on schedule yet. A couple of road games this week against Western Beaver and New Brighton. Their lone win coming against Wilmington from up in District 10. And Jaden Iorio is the guy leading the way right now. A couple of big scoring performances for him leading the way. Lucas Santini and Anthony Zaccardi have also been a pleasant start to their seasons, averaging about 8 points per game as well. You know what you're going to get from a Coach Ken Locke team. You're going to get a battle each and every time. They're going to keep on fighting, and that's what we like to see. Hopefully seeing games against Western and New Brighton this week as nice little tune-ups, and then they're hosting the tournament at Laurel before flipping into section play. And again, it's going to be a tough section. You know, Aliquippa's going to be tough. Northgate, a great team from a year ago. They're going to have some tough battles there. And then Swickley Academy, Southside Beaver are the other two teams, along with Shenango and Laurel. 4 of those 6 will make it into the postseason. It's going to be a grind for sure to try to get those final couple of spots in Section 2. Or Section 1, of Class 2A. Let's drop down to Section 1 of Class 1A, where Union, it's a deceiving 1-4 record. Losses to Shenango, as we mentioned, Elwood City, as we mentioned. The win coming at Blackhawk, a good come-from-behind victory there. A loss this past week at home against Quaker Valley, so there's a 3A, 4A opponent right there. And Central Valley also in there, an overtime loss for Union in that one. The big difference from last year, obviously, you don't have a Matt Stanley driving to the hoop, but you've got Lucas, who's kind of taken over that role a bit more. Saw him more as a three-point specialist a year ago. Only 4 threes made on the year so far. It's been Grayson Blakely who's actually taken over that role. A county best 18 threes made on the season. And again, the balance of the scoring here, Stanley at 16 a game, Braylon Thomas at 15 a game, and Blakely at 13 points per game. That's the kind of balance you're going to have to see the entire year. And I think a lot of good things for Union to be seen so far. Even in that first loss against Shenango in a tight battle, they had 5 players all in double figures in that contest. If you keep that sort of pace up, I think you're going to have more success than you are not success if you are the Union Scotties, for sure. They have a couple of tough battles this week, though. Avonworth and then at Riverside on Monday and Tuesday. Their first game in section play, by the way. Why not? Carleton played them 4 times last year. They'll be at the Cougars on January the 3rd. And the last team we'll look at is the Wilmington Greyhounds up in District 10, and just a battle each and every night. With an 0-7 start to the year for the Hounds. Will Bruckner leading the way. And the big issue you've seen for Coach Marmo's squad has been that free throw percentage. Currently as a team, 43% from the line, that's it. But they're getting to the line. That's step 1. I just want to see them convert a couple more of those free throws when they do get to the charity stripe. And you could be seeing some different results coming up down the stretch here as well. And you're just hoping for growth, really. It's a very small lineup. In terms just of depth numbers that they have. You, again, just hope that you can see continued improvement from this Wilmington Greyhounds team and things to build on over the course of the season and into future years as well. Well, there you have it. We appreciate, again, you tuning in on the LC SportsNet podcast. Remember, you stay refreshed by enjoying hot or cold water at the click of a button. Or you can enjoy a cup of coffee with their bottom-loading water cooler option. That's Penn, Ohio bottled water. Thanks for them as they deliver these podcasts to you. It won't be on a weekly basis, but every couple of weeks we'll touch base with you and get everything prepared and ready and get you some fresh factoids over the course of our season. We'll plan on talking to you right around the new year as we flip the calendar into January. And at that time, we'll also announce our player and our team of the month for the month of December. That'll be on our next episode coming up right after the ball drops, but make sure you don't drop the ball. Keep tuning in live or archived on the Lawrence County SportsNet, powered by LCAP.